megaphone?
Better.
Yes.
Okay, so how we usually get started is I tell a little bit about myself, and Anna tells her story, and I think my story is the stay-at-home Mama Grizzly story. Anna has a different background since she came from Brazil, but basically for me, in 2008, I started to become really concerned about Barack Obama. And living where I live, I really didn't know if anyone knew this, and I became obsessed. I actually, when I saw that O, I would become enraged. I was obsessively talking about it to my family and friends. My mom thought, what happened to my daughter? She's completely obsessed, and what happened was, after the election, when the writing was on the wall, I was upset over the TARP, I was upset with the Republicans and the Democrats. I watched the inaugural address, and I remember thinking to myself, his speech sounded so center-like, and within a week and a half, it was the stimulus package that nobody could read. It was a monstrosity, and me and one other mom at my school, we were like the secret conservatives, because I felt like I couldn't talk about this because everybody in Doylestown is big O supporters. And she's like, we got to do something through email. And I said, yes, what do we have to do? And she said, let's do a porculus, and we'll stand in the middle of Doylestown with a megaphone, basically, was the idea, and read the pork. Her name is Marianne, and Marianne Davies was very active for a long time with immigration. So she felt totally comfortable in this role of, megaphone, and I was like, okay, and I thought to myself, oh my God, what did I get myself into? I'm like, but I am at that point where I'm actually going to do this. I'm at the point where I'm going to stand in the middle of my town with a megaphone. And within, I guess, a day or two, I started hearing about tea parties. And the first one, I think, was out in Oregon. And if anyone follows me on Twitter, it's Anastasia, PRZ, is my Twitter handle. It's a sign, it's the very first Tea Party sign I ever saw, and it was a guy standing on a corner, and it says, is working worth it, with a question mark. And I thought, that's what we're going to do. We're going to have a tea party, and I started organizing it like around the 27th of February, and we're still going to have it in Doylestown in the center, and then we're like, why don't we make it better and bigger, and we had it at Washington Crossing, and we had 2,000 people show up in the middle of nowhere, and it was amazing. And that's when I met this lady here. And what's interesting is I had never built a website. I didn't know even how to cut and paste. If it didn't automatically click, I did not know. I built a website. I made a mission statement. I did all of this. And I figured out how to get people to find me if they Google Tea Party Bucks County, and people started finding me, and she found me. And she writes to the website, I want to give a speech, I'm from Brazil, and she starts saying, the whole entire speech I'm reading is, Obama is a Marxist, but not a traditional Marxist, a 21st century Marxist. And I thought, man, this woman is right on, but this is really racy. And so that day she came and she gave her speech, and we've been working literally since that day, every day. I see her more than I see my family. And with that, I'll
kind of
turn
sad. So I'm Anna, and as you already know, I was born and raised in Brazil, and I moved here with my parents and my brother in 1986. And the reason why we moved here was to live the American dream. Because what's happening in the U.S. today is exactly what was happening to Brazil and a few other countries in South America in the 80s. And we all know how that ended. We have Hugo Chavez in Venezuela. Latin America's pretty much taken. So my dad was a visionary and understood that opportunities for me and my brother would be here in this country. So we came with nothing. We came with 8 suitcases. We started all over again. We never took entitlements. We never took any help from the government. And today I'm really proud to say that my dad is retired. So I went to college, I worked hard, I have lived the American dream. And I became a citizen about 9 years ago. and voted George W. Bush was the first vote I could make, the second term. So, so my family has always been really political in the sense that we have always paid attention to current events and politics because we have suffered this in our own skin. So coming to America was a dream. I was married to a Cuban American whose parents immigrated from Cuba. So as you can imagine, when we sit around the Thanksgiving table, we don't talk about the Eagles, we talk politics. So my kids are completely indoctrinated to the right. I have 4 kids. So when Barack Obama started campaigning, I remember looking at my husband and saying, this is not good. I've seen this growing up. Your family has seen this in Cuba. So this is not good. This has been a 60-year plan that's finally coming to a climax here in the United States. So for me, the defining moment was when he had that conversation with Joe the plumber on television, where he said that it was okay to redistribute the wealth around. And at that point, I looked at my husband. I remember living in Minnesota, sitting on my couch in the basement and saying, you can sit here and scream at the TV all you want. I'm going to do something to save this country.
Good for you.
So I don't know why. I was just a stay-at-home mom. Anyway, so I started volunteering for the McCain campaign, because it was the only thing I knew how to do, what to, to go to. And the day Barack Obama was elected, I decided, you know what, I'm so angry, I'm going to call the local radio station, I'm going to rant. And I did, and he gave me 18 minutes to rant, which usually he only gives 2 minutes apiece. And I became known as Ana the Brazilian on the radio station. And they would call me all the time, and they still talk about me in Minnesota, and I still call in every now and then. We kind of became friends with them. So, and I talked about the correlations between what I saw growing up, the rewriting of the history, the changing of the Constitution, the infiltration of the education system. We talked about the media being taken over. It's the same exact thing that is happening here, has happened in several other countries before. So Americans who talk about how, well, I didn't know that he was going to be like this. Come on, he wrote books about it. He actually told the American people who he was. So it was our choice not to do our research and to think that elections don't have consequences.
Yeah, not a lot of people read it.
So anyway, from the radio station, I started writing op-eds, and then I decided, you know what, I can see myself with a microphone. I can turn this op-ed into a speech. So I wrote a speech about him being a 21st century Marxism, and that's how I met Anastasia. And then we formed the Kitchen Table Patriots, and we've been working together on, pushing for various legislation, taking people to DC, to Harrisburg. We ran a Get Out the Vote campaign in 2010 with American Majority Action, and got Mike Fitzpatrick elected. I don't care what the Republican Party says. Without our help, Mike Fitzpatrick would not be a congressman in the 8th Congressional District today. We have campaigning in Bucks County a lot. Bucks County matters traditionally. However way Bucks County votes is how Pennsylvania goes for the election. And this is why you're seeing a 3,000 square foot Barack Obama office in the center of Doylestown. So he's going to be coming to this area. Forward, that's what it says on the side. I wish I could show you the picture. It says forward. And you know what I say? We are going to forward him out of the White House. We're going to exercise our right to vote, and we're going to forward him out of the White House and back to Chicago, where he belongs. So, anyway, so that's our story.
The campaigns, where the Tea Party fills in, the grassroots, is traditionally the campaigns think of media buys, they think of the big things. They don't think of the door-to-door. And a lot of times, committee people do not do that job. And that's really the job of the committee people. I'm a committee person as well. I wear both hats. So that's where the Tea Party can fill the void that is not being done.
Well, there's a big misconception that you need to spend a lot of money in order to run an effective campaign, and that is simply not true. Yes, money is needed. We need ads. Yes, we do need to. The television ads are super important, especially in the Philadelphia market. It's one of the most expensive markets in the United States, by the way. So, but the Republican Party is doing that. So we need to fill the void where the Republican Party is not doing such a great job. In our area, for instance, I don't think they do a great job of getting out the vote, of actually door knocking, of actually making phone calls. And that's something that us Tea Partiers can step in and help. So basically, there are 3 really, really important things that the grassroots can do in order to get out the vote properly. It's yard signs and sign blitzing, door-to-door voter education, and phone banking. Door-to-door being the number one. I know it's not for everybody, but it's the most effective way to get a voter to remember you at the poll. It's that face-to-face contact. They're gonna go to the poll because you have to remember, we are an exception to the rule. We are super voters in this room. We vote in every single election. At least I hope that all of you vote in every single election. So we are the exception to the rule. Most voters that you're gonna be talking to, they are soft Republicans. They vote every now and then. They don't know who their state rep is. Sometimes they don't even know who their congressman is. So when you have that interaction and they go to the polls, they're going to see that name and go, huh, Tom Smith. I remember that girl came to my door with a door hanger for Tom Smith. So yeah, I'm going to vote for Tom Smith. So it is highly effective. It's awful. I hate doing it, but we have to do it. We don't have a choice. We got to get Barack Obama out. Remember that. So
the next thing is yard signs. Now, for Tom Smith, you know, we have Bob Casey Jr., huge name ID. Tom Smith, his name ID is nothing. And oftentimes people, why do senators, state senators especially, you know, also county commissioners, those kind, it's just because, oh, name ID. And that's the reason why they vote for them. They don't know their record, they don't know what they stand for. So what we need to do for Tom Smith is get name ID. And what we were able to do in 2010, and this is also psychological warfare, is how you have to think about it, is we found out where Patrick Murphy lived, and when we started our sign blitzing campaign, we made sure we started in his neighborhood in Levittown. So we had these guys, all they could do time-wise, because we're all busy, was they're like, we're going to put out signs every Friday night, and there was 4 of them. They got into it. They dressed in it was like the soccer dads, you know. They lived in the cul-de-sac and they dressed in you know, fatigue, and they would pick a neighborhood, and that's what they did. They started in Levittown, right outside of Patrick Murphy's neighborhood. So when he went to go get the paper the next day, Mike Fitzpatrick's signs were everywhere, everywhere. The Democrats couldn't take them out quick enough, and that's what we did. Every single Friday, we put out thousands and thousands of yard signs.
we put out 5,000 signs altogether just in Bucks County. So in a period of about a month, because what you need to know about yard signs is you can put them in your yards right now, but usually you can only put it in public places 30 days ahead of the election. So starting in October, you're pretty, you know, early October, you're pretty safe to put it out. So, and again, it's all about the voter stopping at a busy corner. Look for the busy intersections, you know, and put those signs there, because people are parked and they will look. And you think it's not going to register? It registers. We ran for delegate together in Bucks County to the RNC. We lost, but that's a different story. We put up a good fight.
Next time.
And next time, yeah, well, I don't know if there's going to be a next time. I don't know. That was too much, I don't know. Unless we change the GOP first.
More women on the GOP.
Girl power,
That's what's
right?
needed. Yes.
So we ran for delegates, and we, out of our own pockets, paid for our sites. And I have so many girlfriends that I don't talk to on a regular basis anymore because I'm consumed by this, you know. And they would call me and go, I saw your name on a sign. Are you running for something? So you know what? I got their votes because they remembered that my name was on that sign. So look for the busy intersections and put those signs out. And before we move on to talking about, you know, the phone banking and all of that, it's very important that we divide and conquer. We're all busy. We all have families. We all have jobs. We all have, I like to think I still have a life outside of the, you know, Tea Party movement. So even though the Tea Party has become my family too, but divide and conquer. Not all of us are going to be good at putting yard signs out. Not all of us are going to be good at door knocking. I have a horrible personality for door knocking because I get into fights. So she's much better than I am. She's much more pleasant than I am. So I prefer to run the phone banking. So what we advise for you guys, once we're done here, however way you decide to move on, is find captains for each one of these things, for the yard signs, for the phone banking, for the door knocking, and then have people volunteer under those captains. Don't try to do everything because you will end up doing absolutely nothing, and we can't afford that right now. We need every single one of you to walk out of here tonight with a mission. You're going to go home and you're going to think about, what am I going to do between now and November 6th to help my country? So, yes?
When you do the door-to-door and you're actually knocking on the door, when someone comes to the door, what's your first?
You know, I play it by ear, so you have to kind of gauge. Depends on who, first of all, you need to decide whose door you're gonna knock on.
Okay.
What we advise you to do right now is do not go to the super voters, the people who vote in every single election, whether they're Republicans or Democrats. The Republicans, they're gonna come out. This is the election of a lifetime.
Right.
The Democrats who are super voters, guess what? They're progressives. You're not gonna change their mind. You're gonna waste 30 minutes of your time and you're not going to get your vote. So go for the independent voters and go for the soft Republicans, which are those Republicans that vote every now and then, but not all the time.
All right, so you need to tell us about the street list. that you-
FreedomWorks, we have political gravity, which is a system that American Majority uses also. It's micro-targeted, and we are in the process. We have almost all of the counties uploaded. It's by the end of, like, probably within 10 more days, we're gonna have all the counties, but the counties around here we have. And you can carve out your lists, and we can help you do that. So if you wanna knock, and what we did, I did this in Levittown, last weekend. We did a quarter rally, which is always great because people like to rally. And then, okay, you corner rally for 50, you know, we set a time limit. 9:30 meet at the diner at the busy intersection in Levittown. Stand there with signs, you know, get it out of your system. We had the Romney signs, we had the Tom Smith signs. Everybody came back to the parking lot, boom. Now hit these 100 houses and meet me here at 12 o'clock. Whatever you can get done on this list, you have until 12. So it wasn't consuming their whole day. I wasn't assigning them, you can't come back until they're all done.
Can I
Now
just say,
more
I'm
questions.
gonna say one more thing, and then I'm gonna pass it on to you, because I think you have some good perspective on this too. I believe in incrementalism. We worked a school choice bill, and I'm just gonna use that as an example, that not everybody supported, but not everybody understood why things were being done the way they were, and why the bill was so small and only helped part of Pennsylvania kids and not all of Pennsylvania kids. It's about incrementalism. Pennsylvania is a very democratic state. It's a blue state. So it's going to take a lot of time to get Pennsylvania to be very conservative. I think we'll get there. So the same thing with the United States. This is a country that just voted 4 years ago, that's not a long time ago, for Barack Obama. He's a Marxist. He's a 21st century Marxist. He is just as bad as Hugo Chavez. So,
And we
the
need to
same
start
thing. He's
calling
doing
him a
the same
communist.
thing that Hugo Chavez did 10
Yeah.
years ago down in Venezuela.
that's
And look
what-
at
that's
Venezuela
what he is.
now.
That's
So,
what it is, but names don't want community.
so incrementalism is what it's all about. Is the Republican Party right? No. Have we had enough time to change the Republican Party?
No.
We have not. So take one piece of the pie, which is Mitt Romney, get it in there, and then in the next 4 years, let's continue to work and infiltrate the party and become the party so that we can Thank you. It's all about incrementalism. So, I'm a libertarian. I don't like Mitt Romney, but guess what? It's either Mitt Romney or Barack Obama. So,
Okay, so we're already in September. We're gonna go through the timeline real quick and talk about what we need to be doing right now. Right now, we need to be identifying our voters. Right now, every community weekend, be having your registered to vote. Yeah, we need to be getting people registered to vote, and then you need to slip in, hey, please consider voting for Romney. Please consider voting for Mike Fitzpatrick. So that's going to end. So right now, I really emphasize registering people, getting people who are independents to switch to Republican, because that's another way that we'll be able to get the stranglehold of the establishment GOP. You know, if we have more independent thinkers in the Republican Party. And then September 21st is right around the corner, folks. We are going to be needing to get our absentee ballots, you know, the nursing homes, you know, getting there so that it's not just the Democrats that are going to the nursing homes and filling out those. So volunteer for that. That's a really good job for someone in this room. And then,
I'm sorry, when is registration deadline this time?
it's October 6th.
it's beginning of
October
October.
6th, I think.
6.
Okay. So a month out is when you need to really start thinking about Election Day. You need to step up your game. I know I have 3 kids. They all have activities on Saturday. Field hockey, soccer, and gymnastics. I told my husband, I'm like, And I sat my kids down and I said, listen, if mommy gets to go to a game, but don't expect mommy. I go, mommy's fighting to save our country. And that is what I'm saying to soccer moms who are thanking me for the work I'm doing, and I can't do anything because my kid's in soccer. I'm like, you're not getting it. We're doing this for our children, so whatever you're doing right now, I'm gonna tell you it's not enough, that you need to take it up a level. And the people that are thanking you guys, because I'm sure you all have people that are like, oh, you're so involved, and they want to talk to you about it, you need to start telling them, I expect you to do this, and you start assigning people jobs.
Get out of your comfort zone, that's the bottom line. We all have our own comfort zones, and try to step out of your comfort zones and notch above in the next 2 months.
What's the dateline for the signs?
The signs, I would
Starting October 1st, I think you're good to put it anywhere, you know. You can do your yards right now, that's your property, so you can do that. But as far as public property, I would do starting October 1st, which is about a month out.
and then,
Do you need to get permission for that?
No, you don't need permission.
I will tell you Turnpike, they will take them down. So don't, that's just throwing your money away.
Go ahead.
Businesses, I mean, because this is my experience, I'm getting up
Oh,
at
yeah.
3 o'clock in the morning, you're stretching signs from Timbuktu. Each of the businesses along, depending on their, political politics, are pulling these things out, So it's not a bad idea maybe to approach somebody, and get a feel for what's going on, so you're not wasting your time.
Right,
Putting
and wasting
something out
money.
there. Yeah, and wasting your money too.
So as far as schedule goes, let's just go through this real quick. I think between now and October 1st, this is how we're running our operation in Bucks County, is we will be open from 11 in the morning, Monday through Friday, until 9 p.m. Calls are more effective at night between about 5:30 to 8 p.m. Don't call after 8:30 because people will get upset with you. So Monday through Friday between those times. We'll be open because then we have the retired folks who can come in during the day and we can leave messages on the machines if people are not home. Then we're open on Saturdays from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. and some people will be in the office making calls and some people will be out door knocking. Now, come October 1st, we will be open 7 days a week. We're working Sundays and we are going to be door knocking during the week as well. So that's kind of, the
Starting next weekend, okay, we hit Levittown last weekend. Next Saturday, I'm looking at the map and saying, where's the concentration? Where's the most effective place that we can knock? Because what you want to do, and then what we're going to do is create the maps, and we're going to have a corner rally. And at the corner rally, we're going to have the maps ready to go, and we're going to cover. The more people show up at the corner rally, the more maps you have to send out. And, if we can hit, I think 600 to 1,000 doors every Saturday is not unreasonable. And that's what, if you have the team, if you have the people, okay?
Is there a repository for the signs throughout the counties?
Okay, so I'm going to talk about
Yeah,
that.
that's a good thing.
We have set, what FreedomWorks has done is we're concentrating on the Senate races that we find that we can win across the nation. So instead of concentrating on the White House, simply because we don't want to take a chance just in case if Barack Obama wins, but if we take the Senate back, then we can stop some of the stuff that he's been trying to do. So we can slow it down at least. We won't become Cuba right away. We still hold out a chance. So, but I think now that's going to be changing a little bit, and we're going to include some Mitt Romney stuff. It's looking like that. But what we've done is we've identified great Tea Party folks throughout the state of Pennsylvania, and we have set them up as regional distribution centers. We have about 25 regional distribution centers throughout the state. And being a regional center means you receive all the materials. We have signs, yard signs, we have door hangers, we have bumper stickers, we have the educational palm card on Obama and Casey. So they get thousands of these pieces of materials. And then we created sub-regional centers for the folks who don't have enough space to house all of this. And they communicate with the regional centers and they pick up stuff. So Lou here, for instance, when Lou came to us, we already had a regional in his area. So we put him as a sub-regional and he's communicating with them and he's getting the materials from them.
When will this come online?
It's not going to be online, you have to go through
No,
us.
I mean on stream.
What do you mean?
In action, is what he's talking about.
It's already in action. We've been doing this for
Well,
6
have you
weeks now.
identified locations saying for Montgomery County?
Yes,
Auto-
We
auto report.
have several, I'm using Lou as an example, we have several
Lou?
sub-regional centers in Montgomery
that's
County
Lou.
and one regional center in Montgomery County.
We
Two
have no-
regional centers in
do you know
Montgomery.
what? Regional in Chester.
Centers in Chester County.
County. We have it in Chester County as well. We have,
Looking for more.
Jamie Foxx.
hold on a second. We are not looking for more regionals, and I'll tell you why. Because it's too expensive to mail the material. So what we like to do is mail bulk to one person, and then that one person can communicate with the sub-regionals. I want as many sub-regionals as I can possibly get. So if any of you would like to be a sub-regional, please let us know, because we'll get you in touch with the right person so you can get the materials.
Where's the one in Chester County?
I believe I have two in Chester. One of them is Jamie Foxx. The other one I can't remember.
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you out my cards.
I don't have the spreadsheet with me right now, so I would.
Do you have a web address?
I have over 100.
Do you have a web
sub-regionals
address
all
so-
over the state.
FreedomWorks.
Send me an email.
Okay, so then you can just go down FreedomWorks to your
Okay.
local county.
And listen, I'm gonna pass out my
Okay.
cards. So now, let's talk about election day. Election day is critical. I'm passing.
I didn't bring mine. I can give you mine. I'll shout it
If
out.
everybody emails me, her and I, we work this together.
Give us your,
We'll get
give us
these-
your email.
It's coming on my phone.
Okay.
Mark's gonna send it out.
All right.
Yeah,
And
and
gonna
and
send it
mine,
to
just
Mark
in case you
and
want to
he's
write it
gonna
down, it's AP as in Paul, UIG at freedomworks.org.
so on election day, and, I can speak for our experience of, innocently getting involved in running for delegate, thinking like, oh, isn't this gonna be great? Not thinking it was a big deal, feeling, I'm like, yay, we're gonna run for delegate, I get our signatures. And it was like, my gosh, talk about people's heads spinning and green soup coming out. Because how dare her and I run, like, they have their picks, they knew who they were gonna, so I'm like, oh, we can still do this. And and let me tell you something. It is hard to beat the political machine. They had, and you know what? They didn't, and in Bucks County, the endorsed candidate was, what's his name?
For what, for delegate?
For Senate. Who was the endorsed candidate?
Steve Welch.
Steve Welch. Okay, so Steve Welch lost Bucks County, okay? And so did the person who was running against Dan Chapman, because the GOP machine was only focused on the delegate race. They spent $80,000.
Which is a beauty
Beat us.
contest, because at
Beat
the end
us.
of the day, you go to Florida to have a big party. You don't do anything. So it just goes to show.
So I wasn't expecting that. So I go to a poll. I had people working different polls, and it was literally they had printed out materials of the delegate name in yellow with nobody else's name and said follow the yellow brick road, and they're giving this out. So they had every poll covered 4D. What I walked away from saying is election day poll coverage is so critical. So even if the GOP says that they're going to cover a poll, we can't count on them.
Don't take it for granted.
Don't take it for granted. And you know what? I always work my poll, and I've been doing this for years. I work it from 7 a.m. until close. And I have people come in and give me breaks. So and what we need is flexibility, because when we've done this before, people are like, but I want to work my neighborhood poll, the one that's down the street. I'm like, but we already have volunteers. Can't you please drive 7 miles?
So
Flexibility on election day.
I think the suggestion is get a couple of people, I would say about 4 people, in charge of getting you organized for election day poll coverage. Don't ask for permission from the GOP. You have every right to be in
Don't
there.
give your list.
So we suggest that when you are covering a poll, that you be the last person that the voter interacts with. Let the GOP and the Democrats be in the front. They're going to fight each other to be in the front. Be the last one, because guess what? When they go to that booth, they're going to remember that last one, and your stuff is going to be on top. So just be brief. Please consider voting for this person. That's it. And stand 10 feet away from the actual entrance of where people vote. So that's the rule. But have a few people figure it out. It's something that you need to start doing 30 days ahead of time.
You need a spreadsheet. You need
Takes a lot of time.
computer person. You need Excel. You need to look at and start with your triple polls. Like, I don't know if you guys, we have triple polls where you have 3 different precincts voting in the same poll. Get them covered. Then go to your double polls, and then the last on your list is your Singleton poll where it only has like 250 people that even vote out.
Right.
If you
Identify
can
the
get
busy
somebody to
ones.
cover it, great, but if not, to break it out that way. And
So I think one more thing, let's talk about hope. So whether Barack Obama wins or not, I'd like to think there's still hope if he wins this election. Because we need to continue to infiltrate the GOP and change the GOP so that the next time around, we can have a better candidate to run against the Democrat. Whether he wins or not, this is something we need to continue to do. We need to change the GOP machine because they no longer represent our principles. Just like the Democratic Party no longer represents the Reagan Democrats. So it's been completely taken by communists. So the next 4 years, if you're not involved in the Republican Party, please get involved. I personally, and this is my personal opinion, I don't speak for FreedomWorks on this, and I don't know where they stand on this. I don't believe that a third party will be effective. I think we'll be splitting each other's votes, and we'll continue to hand the votes to the Democrats. So what we need to do is have you run to be a committee person. And once you infiltrate your local area, become chair of the Republican Party. And then guess what? Run for state committee so that you have a say on who gets endorsed, or if there is an endorsement or no endorsement for Senate and for president or whatever. So, but we can't sit here and scream at the Republican Party and just, fight with them and say, you don't represent me. Become the Republican Party because then you have a voice. So I think, no matter what happens November 6th, let's keep that in mind. Yeah.
It might be some encouragement to you. About a year ago, I visited a new Tea Party in the Roxborough section of Philadelphia and listened to their members stand up and rant about how hard they work. That's a working class area. It's near my old neighborhood. And we listened to that. I went with 2 other Tea Party fellows. And when I was leaving, the woman who founded the group whispered to me, most of my members are Democrats. So that was very encouraging.
it's great.
So I guess after the break, this concludes this part of the presentation. We'll do the social media. We'll talk about Twitter and Facebook, and then we'll also do the live phone call